Hello everyone! Are you about to start to paint by numbers like I am doing this design? And keep on watching and I will give you all the tips that you need so you're off to with a good start. Let's start straight away with the first tip, and that's about these brushes. So far that I've sampled the different companies, they all come with the same set of 3 brushes. And I have used only these brushes to finish my paint by numbers. So if this is your first paint by numbers, I would advise you not to buy any expensive or different brushes. Just use the ones you got with the kit. They last for at least the painting. If of course you have different brushes already, if you paint more, why don't use those? Everyone has different preferences if you have more experience. My next tip is also related to brushes, and depending on the paint by numbers plan you're doing, but get yourself sorted with not just one, but 2 buckets. No, not buckets. um, Beakers of water, so you can wash your brushes easier from paint and switch between the different colors. In the first one, the water gets dirty really quickly and you wash almost all of your paint away. And then in the second one, you really make your brush clean with water that stays clean for longer. Hope that makes sense. Okay, very important. Before you start painting, I know in this video I started painting straight away, but that's because I already checked this. But before you start painting, make sure you don't have any wrinkles or creases in your canvas. I made this mistake with my first paint by numbers, so I don't want you to make it as well. Because if you have already painted some of your canvas, it's much more difficult to get the creases out. And the way you can get the creases or folds out is by simply ironing it. But I repeat, only if you haven't painted already, because then it will influence the paint. Second important thing you do with your canvas before you start painting, or before ideally, is to take pictures if you didn't get a reference sheet. Some companies give you a reference sheet and that's okay, then you don't need to take pictures. But if they didn't and you have a painting like paint by numbers like this one, you will have spots or areas that you don't know which number it belongs to anymore. So make sure you take pictures beforehand if you didn't have a reference sheet. Otherwise, later on when the painting gets more filled, it will just be a guessing game which number is supposed to be there, because you just won't be able to tell without either a reference sheet or pictures to guide you back to it. Another tip that I have before you start your paint by numbers is that I would make a plan. Surprisingly, you actually have quite a few ways of how you can do this paint by numbers. As you can see in this design I did, which was my first paint by numbers, I just did the whole painting color by color. So I started in number 1 and I finished in, I believe, 23, and I went through the whole painting. This was okay, but for my second painting I wanted to try something different. So now in the painting that you just saw, I started with a specific area on the canvas. So in my case, I started with the houses on the left. And I'm planning to continue then with the sky and probably houses on the right or the water. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, take one object at a time. Maybe you have a painting of a few tulips or some birds. It could be a good idea to just start with the bird and then fill in the background later. It really is up to you, and you should give it some thought of how you want to approach it. I know it's super exciting to finally receive your first paint by numbers in the post and you just want to start, but you're watching this video now, so that means you're doing some of the research already, which is great. So why don't you think of it and make a plan before your painting arrives? Now let's talk about the paint. So the paint that comes with every kit is different. I hope your paint is good. But even in every kit, you're going to have some lighter colors that are a bit transparent. So for those, you will have to do 2 or 3 layers. And if you want to know that up front, it might be a good idea to take some swatches and just on the side or paint one number of one area of each number and see if it covers the number or you have to do multiple. Or as I do it, whenever I try one for the first time, I notice if I need to do a second or third layer of paint. So that's up to you, but it's definitely something to keep in your mind before you start doing your paint by numbers, is that you might need to go over them again. Yeah. And another tip I've got that I noticed at the end of my first paint by numbers is that I was tempted to paint within the lines, so not over the lines. But actually, in the end, I ended up going over the lines a bit more to cover the lines. So if you have 2 whites next to each other or 2 light colors next to each other, you don't want to see the line in between. You're trying to make it look that's not a paint by numbers, right? So you want to get rid of the numbers and the lines. So maybe you found you might feel a bit weird, but I would actually encourage you to paint on top of the lines as well. This will then cause a nice filled look by the end of it. So I really hope you found these tips useful. And as you can see here, my end results of my first paint by numbers, everyone can do it. I hadn't painted in a very long time. If you like paint by numbers, please subscribe. I make paint by numbers videos and it would really help a small YouTuber like me if you subscribe and like this video. See you next time. Bye.